I'm always paranoid about this camera because sometimes I can't tell. I can see the reflection in the window of my little face, and that it's recording, I think. Yes, it is. But that doesn't always happen. One time I pressed a button and I was talking, and it wasn't, or it just shut off or something. It was kind of funny. Growing pain. We all have growing pains, I think, in life. I'm having growing pains right now. I think that's a good sign. Otherwise, if you're not having growing pains, you're not growing, you're not learning. And I don't think, for myself, that's not a very fulfilling way to live. I torture myself. We drive ourselves a little bit crazy. But, I mean, what else would you do? What would life be without some craziness and crying and anger and laughter and pain and joy, happiness, harmony, the stillness and the crazy chaos of life? It's messy. I think of life as like a juvenile who is able to create all kinds of things, but it doesn't connect with what it's creating, so that life doesn't understand that how much it hurts us and how crazy it is, and that I think life doesn't understand that its responsibility towards its creations. That's how I feel. That it's young, it's youthful, and it's learning because we are learning. We are forms of life. It is learning about itself through us. That's the story in my head anyways. I like to think of it that way. I just think it's more friendly and something that's more workable for me. I love, Colina, she's a Pisces, I'm a Pisces, so I have a lot of feeling for her in that way. It took me so long to just come out of my shell. I don't know how she is, but I was afraid of everything. I was afraid for a long time. It's only been more recent years, maybe since I've been in New Mexico, which will be 7 years on Tuesday that I've been here in the state of New Mexico. And that's when I really started to wake up and come out of my shell. So I was in my 40s. It takes time, and that's one thing I've been learning lately, really. It was like a main thing is that, and can be really impatient. I like to get things done, chop, chop, let's go, let's get this done, And I'm finding out just recently, just realizing how much time people need, and ourselves too. I wasn't giving myself time to settle down and really move along with a project or something that I wanted to do. I would give it a certain period of time, and if it hadn't happened by then, I'd be like, okay, that's done. It's not going to happen. But I don't think that's the case. I now am willing to give myself time. And I noticed with men are really, the men that I've known, have been really slow in responding the way I want them to respond. And instead of giving them the time to do that, I would just leave them. And I would give them 2 years, and I'd say, I'm not happy, and this isn't going to work. It's impossible. They're never going to get it. I'm leaving. It's just not going to work. And I think that I'm sad because of that, because I left someone that I really loved, and I left him in 1995, and that was it. Also, he was in Hawaii, and he stayed there, and I couldn't live there because it made me sick. But I think about things like that, and I wasn't willing to. I didn't understand. It wasn't that it was even willing. I just didn't see that how important it was to give someone the time they need. And I know Colleen is going to need a lot of time. It's going to take her. She's going to have to find herself, and she will. I mean, that's what friendship is for. Our friends see the parts of us that we can't see. You can't see when you're right in it, and that's what you can do for her. And there's this part in your letter I have to read. I hope you're not embarrassed, but I love it so much because it's just so on the mark. You wrote, you have to ground each other and say, no, this isn't who you are. observe and recognize. And that's what it is. I mean, you really, it's so beautiful where you're coming from, and that you see that. It's a huge, magnificent gift. And we combine that with understanding that it's going to take time, and we unfold. We are like these flowers that take a whole lifetime to blossom. You know, I'm 52 and I'm just starting to blossom. I have a lot of the same concerns that you have. It's just that I have more living under my belt, and I know a lot about myself. So, and you gain wisdom as you go along, you know, but I love the way that you are. I love the way your mind is. It's almost shocking to me at times, because I'm so not like, I was like Colina. I was Colina. So if that gives you any encouragement, you guys are, you have most of your whole lives ahead of you. Most of mine, over half mine is gone, and I'm cool with that. I value what I have, but you have most of your lives ahead of you, so you have a long road. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you'll be able to have plenty of loving and even fights together. I mean, it's okay to have that, you know. You find your way. It's like learning how to drive or how to fly. You know, you bump into stuff along the way. We get lost, and we find our way, and we get lost, and we find our way, and we get lost. It's a cycle. That's life. It cycles around. And it's crazy. I don't know. It can make us crazy, but you know that you're not a crazy person, that you're just trying to figure it out. So you've got a lot of stuff figured out already. The other thing with that is you've got it figured out, but then you take it out. It's like that's the class, and then you got to go out in the world and do like in the lab class, and then you try out your ideas and see how they work, and that's where you kind of get beat up a bit. But that's where you learn. You earn it. You earn whatever ideas you have and thoughts you have. You either back them up or you'll get rid of them. You'll find out that they don't work for you. And Colina has to find her way too. But you guys are great together. So beautiful. It's just ridiculous. It's very exciting for me. I love it. I wish... I don't know what I wish. I mean, I do. I know what I wish. It's weird to me that I've had so many lovers and been with so many different people, and that part, I don't judge it. I don't really feel necessarily bad, but I don't feel necessarily great. So I don't know how that turns out. I'm always looking, always searching. I'll figure it out. I mentioned about the banquet server thing. I gotta find out if you got another job. I want to know. Oh, I have a question. Do you not like to talk on the phone? Or, I mean, I'm not a big telephone person, but every once in a while I like to chat. I like to visit on the phone. And maybe you're afraid to talk to me or something. I don't know. Or you just don't like talking on the phone, which I understand. But I would love to talk to you on the phone sometime. And we could do it like once a year or something. It would be really fun. I'd like that a whole bunch. Oh, the interview thing that you said in your letter. Sounds so fantastic. I want to learn how to interview people. Can you give me some tips? I don't know how to do it. I'm going to start with my nephew. He just got back from Afghanistan. He was there for a few years, and he met a girl there, and they bought a house in Florida. So he just came back. He's been back maybe back in the States like 4 or 5 days, and he's back home for good. So he doesn't have to go back and work there. And I want to interview him because I think it would be really interesting. So I want to hear more about your interview with Shalina. And you said that you would include notes, the notes that you took, that her answers, but it wasn't in here. Not that you owe it to me. It's just that I would love to know about that. I gotta find it on the letters. Oh yeah, that she went to Korea to teach English. You could do that too, by the way. You and Colleen could just take off. You get your passports and do that. You guys can go anywhere you want to and do anything you want. She's going to be 18 this week. I mean, she's you guys can just go. You take off, you know, and get away from those her family who just have their meat hooks in her. But I mean, she'll have to make that choice herself. But I would do it. I would just like go full out. And basically anything you do out in the world is gonna be scary because it's new. So what have you got to lose, right? As long as you just are, you know, you're not reckless. So I would love it if you could send me the sheet with her answers and the questions that you asked her. I'm really fascinated about that. I want to know more. I think that, because I want to do that. I want to interview people and different kinds of interviews, just on paper, on video, whatever I can do. I would really like to do that. I'd like to interview you. I think it'd be really fun. I just don't know what kind of, I don't want to be dorky. I don't want to be boring and stupid. I want to be, you know, someone who asks, an interviewer who asks questions that are interesting and bring out that part of the person that they have something that they're passionate about, or they feel deeply for. So I just thought that was really cool. You've done some really cool things, and I always like hearing about that stuff. I like what you said about Colina and Jack being like each other. And Jack did stop finally going into the yards with the dogs. And I have mellowed out about him. I'm afraid of losing him. I didn't expect this would happen. I didn't realize I would be so attached to him and how much I love him and how special he is to me. And I have this dread in me of the day when he's not here anymore. And he's so beautiful, and he's not like any other cat. He's really distinctly different. Even the other animals know it. And he goes outside during the day, and he plays in the yard by himself all day. No cats go out and play out in the yard. And he plays out in the yard, and he does this and he does that, and he chases bugs, and he goes in the tree, and he's just really, I can't even tell you how different he is for a cat. It's just, I've never met a cat like him before. And the whole thing just is freaky that he dropped out of a hail cloud in front of me into the dirt, and I picked him up, and it changed my whole life somehow. And I am still kind of, I'm a bit stupefied. I've been a bit stupefied this whole time with Jack. He's so beautiful, and I don't know if that is like that with Colina, but it's kind of seems like that, you know. And there's this, they have this innocence and this wonderment, and then there's me and you knowing how shitty the world can be and how hard it can be. I mean, people come up and they don't give a fuck, and they'll just kick you right in the face, you know, and it can be really ruthless. We choose not to allow that to make us better people, but still, I mean, there have been times when I've been truly bitter, you know, I just work through it. But I love that you were thinking that Colina and Jack had that kind of connection with each other. We fear losing our love and what's good in our lives, and we do. The truth is, we lose good things all the time. It's very scary, and things that we can't control. There are things that we can control and things that we aren't able to control. And I think the older that you get, the more there are things that you can't control, because let's say that, you know, I'm 52, when I'm 62, 72, my friends, you know, I'll lose friends because my friends will be old and they'll die, and there's nothing you can do about that. So how are you going to live your life? What are you going to how are you going to let it change you? And how are you going to let it affect you? And again, keep making art, because you're going to want to keep making art through everything. I love that Colleen is an artist. You guys are amazing. I think that you can have your own business making art together and have an Etsy shop or whatever, design, whatever you guys do, you'll be successful. I know that you're afraid of losing what's good and losing love, but one of the keys is just training yourself to face your fear. Face your fear of losing. I mean, you're afraid, but you just got to keep going forward with it. I'm going to stop the video, and then I'll start it again.